contact form is a very important aspect of a website. People can go through the content that you have, and if they are interested, they can just fill a few details like name, phone number, email ID, and they can even leave you a message. It's a very simple and quick way which is used on almost all the websites on the internet and all the websites that I have made so far. But learning to build a contact form is a little challenging and something I personally struggled with in the starting of my career. So I plan on making this series on how to build an efficient contact form, and I will split it into three different videos. The first video will be a little more basic, the second one will be a little more improvement on that, and the third one is the most efficient way which I have discovered so far and the one which I use regularly. So in a moment I'll show you the three different versions that I use, and I'll show you what I'm going to teach you in these three different videos. So let's get right into the screen capture now. As discussed earlier, when you're going through a website and when you're reading the different contents and you're convinced, everyone goes to the contact section. So as you can see here, there are different fields like name, email, phone number and message. So if you just enter your details here and select some, here I've entered some information on my own, enter the message, click submit. This would actually capture all the information I've entered in these different text boxes, and it would send an email to the person who owns the website usually, who's going to handle the different people and call them up back and so on. So every website uses a contact form and it's very important to do it. But I find that it's a very complicated way to teach this. So I've made it three different parts. So one is the contact form 1 which I made, there's a contact form 2, there's also a contact form 3, and each of these methods I'm going to show you progressively how to get better. So here I just enter some details, and once I click enter, actually it will go to a thank you page, and that's what I'll just show you. When I click submit, it says message sent. So this is one way of doing things here. You can also have a different whole thank you page, and I'll show you that later. You can see the URL is different from the URL which is on the first page. So that's the way when you use a contact form with a thank you page, it has two different URLs. The second way is when you have, let me just enter some information. When I submit it, it will actually display on the same message as a thank you message. So once I click on and fill up the information, you see it's saying message is sent. So this is a little more efficient way of doing it than the previous way, I feel, and a little more modern. As you can see, the URL is also the same as when you submit the information. And the third way is like once I submit the information, it would display the message on the same page, and it would also clear the forms once the person has submitted his information. And as you can see here, it shows the message whether it is sent successfully or not. So here I'm doing two things. One is I clear the form on submit, and I also prevent people from submitting multiple times, and I disable the submission once it's submitting. So you can see here that you can enter whatever information you want, and once you click on the submit, it would capture this information on these different text boxes and submit it to the third page. So let's get right into the first section where I would explain how to do it more efficiently using a thank you page. So here we are in the first page. This is the basic HTML which I've used for this page. There's a form element which is basically used to capture all the text boxes that we have on the screen here. You can see there are three boxes: name, email and mobile number. Everything is going to be captured in the form, and it is going to be sent to another page, which I'll explain in a moment. So let me just enter some information here. Whatever I write is actually been written in an input box, which you can see as I just showed here. So this is an input box, this is an input box for email, this is for mobile number, and even the submit button is an input box. So each of these things are going to be capture the data. So there are different types. One is a type of text, there's another of email, number, submit, and so on, and even password. So here the first field, which is called name, I'm just storing it as a text because it can store alphanumeric things. Email is going to be check if it's an email or no, so it has to have @website.com. It will check for that. If I don't have it, it will display an error message, which you can just see here. Next, I'm storing the mobile number as a text because sometimes people write +91 and all that stuff. So it will give an error message if you just leave it as a number. So that's the reason I just left it as a text, so that you can capture all this easily and for simplicity's sake. Then other one is type of submit. This basically, once I submit click on the submit button, it would capture all the information in the other input boxes and it would submit it to the next page, which is the action tag, which is called as contact.php. So this is the page which would receive the information I enter in the different input boxes here. And you can have different types. One is a method is basically what type of HTML HTTP request is used. So this is post and get are the commonly used ones. Get is used when you're receiving something from the server, and post is used when you're submitting some information to the server. So here I'm just submitting this information, that's why it is a post request. Now next, there's something called placeholder. So placeholder is basically the text which is going to prompt the user like what should they write out here. So here you can see enter your name, enter your email, and there's also enter your mobile number. So each of these things are prompting people like what should they enter in the input box. So this is a good guideline. Another thing is called the name attribute. So each of these things we enter in this page, it has to be stored in a variable before we send it to another page. So here you can see that we have the name. So the first name, the input which I write in the first box is going to be stored in the first name variable, which is this here. Then we have the email, which is going to be stored in the email ID variable, and we also have the mobile number, which is going to be stored as mobile number, which I've written here. So this is the way you set the variable which is going to store the information. And I have also set a variable for the name because I want to identify if people have actually submitted the form or they're just visiting the page indirectly. That's about this HTML, but here there's another part which I want to talk about, that is the contact form. Contact form, as I showed you, it is from the action part of the form. So that's how you come here. Now this functionality of sending the form is little different for every website, but for my website it is different. So some of these things may look a little strange, but it's really simple. You can see that here I'm checking if the form has been submitted. I just showed you that name is submit. So once I actually submitted, this would be true, and that's why I would enter the if statement. If it is not, I will just show an invalid message, which is here. Here I'm just storing the different variables that have been submitted by the form. Like we have different inputs here, right? These different inputs are going to be stored in different variables, as I showed you, like first name, email ID, then there's mobile number, this have to be set using the name tag, and that's what I'm storing in as a PHP variable. So dollar variable name is the way you store it in PHP. So this I'm fetching using the what has been submitted, and since it's a post request, I said method as post, right, in the previous form. So that's how it is. You write $post, and this is the way you fetch the information. So the first name is going to be stored here, email is going to be stored in this variable, and the mobile number is going to be stored using the $mobile. And now I'm also creating a message which is going to be shown. So here you can see in the messages I'm receiving, I want name as the variable name, I want the email to show what has been entered as email, and the mobile as the mobile number. So that's what I'm doing here. I've written the name, then space, then variable whatever is entered, then I have a new line, then email, the same thing, new line, mobile number, space, the variable, and that's what I want to be my body of the message. Now this part is basic information, that who's going to send the email from the server, who's going to receive the email. So my sending email has to be the same email which I've used on the server. So rahulmakhija.cf is the server, so that's how I've used info, and this is the subject name which you can see in the contact, which is in the inbox. And these are different settings which I have to use to send the email from my server. So this is the email ID which I'm sending from, and I will enter the password so that I can authenticate that I own this email ID. These are different settings which are going to be used to send the email, and this part is which actually sends the email. So you have the person you're sending to, there's the headers, which is some configuration which I have done to send it, and the message, which is the body of the email. Now the next part is actually going to test if the message is sent successfully or not. So basically, if there's an error message, it will come here. If there is If it's successful, it will show the message sent and just displaying this on the screen. So if I go back to my form, I can show you a different way of doing it using a thank you page. So if I just save it, you see there's some HTML here. Let me just refresh. I submit the information, you see it goes to a thank you page. You can have different things. You can have a menu bar, you can have your whole website as normal, and just one section of it you display the message sent. And how I do that is I store, instead of displaying it using an echo in PHP, I would just store it as a variable. So here it is a result variable, whatever, whether it's error or message or if it's a success, and here I'm displaying it on the screen using PHP echo result. So this is going to display it. You can have whatever content you want before that, but I'm just showing you a simple example just so you can have however you like. But this is the part which actually displays the message on the screen, which is here. So this is the basic functionality of how you do it with the sending using a thank you page. I showed you two different ways to do it, but I feel there are a little more efficient ways, and I think I can show you that in the videos to come.